thumbs up if you can see my screen, a thumbs up, great. And go ahead and click got it, that this is being recorded. So welcome today to 7 never fail strategies for your new year goal setting. Okay, well, those are some big shoes to fill. We got never fail strategies coming at you. So buckle up. It's going to be a fun hour and you are going to walk away with an action plan, I promise you. Because part of my mission is I am a speaker and I am a coach. I inspire and motivate people at a turning point in their career, like many of you perhaps, to set goals and create action plans to launch their businesses. So I've worked with Fortune 500 companies like Staples and to launch staples.com actually, as well as Bell Atlantic, going way back to launch what is now known as Verizon Wireless. I've helped mission-driven nonprofit enterprises launch their businesses, local fish farm, and dozens of hyper-local B2B businesses to launch and grow successful, profitable businesses. So I'm committed to training and supporting and empowering people in all walks of life to pursue their dreams. In my spare time, I support the creation of leader, 5 of your Girl Scout. Hey, I love hiking, cooking, kayaking. I live in Warwick with my husband and my 2 daughters. So now it's time for your introductions. I know that this is being recorded, so we can go ahead and edit this out when we get into sharing this in any form, but I'd love for you to go around. Everyone share your name, your soul. I appreciate it. I love to know who's here. A couple of housekeeping things. Feel free to chat in the chat. This is going to be interactive. You're going to need a piece of paper. You're going to need a notepad or something and a pen to do some activities that hopefully you'll take away and will be useful to you as you're looking at your next step or building your business. I'd love to see cameras on. I get it if you can't. Have fun with the emojis. I'll give you a little tour of the bottom toolbar. There's mute, stop video, participants chat, share, all of that. And then if you click on the more button, there are going to be emojis down there. So go ahead and use those emojis. Play. I hope you've come here to play full out. Play full out to get the most out of this workshop. And I promise you, it'll be an hour worth spending with us today. And most importantly, have fun. So 11:11, everybody make a wish because we're going to dive right in. My question for all of you, are you satisfied? Are you satisfied with your life, with your work, with your family, your health, your relationships, your income? Are you someone who believes that your intelligence and your skills are static? They cannot be improved upon. If someone is good at something, it's because they're born that way. They're predisposed that way. Michael Jordan was born with that kind of jump. Michael Phelps was born with that wingspan. Or do you believe your most basic abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work? Brains and talent are just the starting point. This really creates a love of learning. It creates a resilience that's essential for great accomplishments. So when we're not satisfied, do we take ownership over our results or do we play the victim to those circumstances? So there have been many times in my life where I've not been satisfied with something in my life, and I've chosen to take ownership over those results. For example, I was not satisfied about 2 years ago when I tried to hike Mount Monadnock, and I struggled. I struggled up the mountain. I struggled even more down the mountain. Second photo in on the top row was me thinking I was going to be, I'm going to crush this. I'm going to be fine. Big smile. Oh man, there was no photo at the bottom because it was painful. So what did I do? I took ownership over my results. I took ownership over my mind, and I had a different result. I biked the Cape Cod Rail Trail this past summer. I kayaked with my daughters. I hiked Mount Haystack or Haystack Mountain in Vermont this summer. And how did I do it? My good old Apple Watch was my best friend in tracking that activity to get there. I was not satisfied with my career at one point. Second photo in on the bottom row. That's me in a hotel room 6.5 years ago, flying out to a training to launch my new business with this company that I had never heard about, that I'm still with it today, and to publishing. Launched my speaking career through that company, helped other people launch their businesses as well. I took ownership over my results. I took the steps, the small steps needed. I set my goal, took the small steps needed, and then tracked my progress. Do we believe that if we're not getting the results we want, that we can simply change our strategy and we'll get our results to improve? Do we believe that? Like right now listening to me, or you're like, yeah, that's fine for you, but it can't be for me. Does it, or, do we believe that it can be for us? And does that give us confidence that regardless of the challenges that we face, we have what it takes to succeed? And if we do, then we likely have a positive vision of what we can achieve. We view life's obstacles with positive dissatisfaction. Positive dissatisfaction. Those two words are kind of contradictory, aren't they? Positive, if I'm dissatisfied, how am I positive? Or do we look at life like Eeyore? We're overly critical when we miss a goal. We're overly critical when we can't climb that mountain. We're overly critical when we don't have that job that we want, when we're not making that money that we want. And maybe we don't push ourselves harder. This was me at the beginning of a family vacation, a vacation that with my extended family, my cousins, my aunts, my uncle, my mom, my brother, my kids. Every year for about 20 years we had been going on. And like many of you, we thought it was COVID canceled, right? And I won't go into COVID that much, but this is a perfect example of, were we satisfied? For 20 years, there were about 25 of us that would spend a week together. And it was the same routine. We'd get up, we'd go to the pool, we'd hang out. We had certain activities that were very routine as part of this vacation. And we loved it because we knew what to expect. The kids we grew up going, the kids grew up going, we knew what to expect. When COVID hit, summer of 2020, the 20-some of us showed up and said, well, what the heck are we going to do now? We could only spend an hour at the pool at a time because you could get COVID in the pool at that point. We didn't know, right? So we had to reframe how we thought about it. We had to reframe what we were going to do. We had to come up with new strategies. And I will say that if I talk to my cousins today, every single one of them would say that was the best week vacation that we spent together that summer of 2020. That was the highlight, because we had to reframe what we were thinking. We were dissatisfied with what that week was going to look like, but we had positive dissatisfaction. So we had a positive attitude. We took the right actions. We changed our strategy. So let's talk a little bit more about positive dissatisfaction. It's the difference between being overly critical when we miss a goal or something doesn't work out how we planned, and being not motivated to push harder, versus that positive dissatisfaction actually helps us strive for better, stronger, get fired up to do something. Positive dissatisfaction can even be when we're doing extremely well against our goal. We believe we can do better. When we're positively dissatisfied, we strive for better, for stronger. We dare to take chances. We have just a bit more fire to get up and go get something, to put in a few extra minutes or a few extra hours. It gives purpose to fulfill something greater than ourselves. Has anyone ever had their watch and they're getting ready to go to bed and there's like one more stand cycle you need to do, and you're like, oh my God, I've got to get this last stand in my 12 hours of stands, or 2 minutes left on the move tracker, and you're like, okay, set the timer, do some yoga by the side of the bed to get those last 2 minutes of move. Now, if you do a ton of fitness and you're really active, you've never hit that, but maybe it's something else in your life where you've given just 2 more minutes, one more stand, one more try. That's positive dissatisfaction. Okay, who's ready for a little activity? Who's for our first, we're going to today. Okay. Everybody pull out a piece of paper. You can do it on your computer. You can do it on a piece of paper. You cannot do it. As much as you want to put into this is what you're going to get out of this. I promise you that if you spend a little time playing along with me today, you're going to end up with a blueprint for changing your life when we're done with this hour. So our number one never fail strategy is identifying what we are dissatisfied with. So we're going to put a line down the middle of our paper, create 3 quadrants, and we're going to decide what area in our life we are dissatisfied with our current circumstances. Maybe we've been overcritical. You've missed a goal and you weren't motivated to push harder. Maybe it's something with your health, like I mentioned, or fitness, where you tried to hit that goal, you tried to climb that mountain and it didn't happen, or your work or finance, your career, and you want to get started, you want to get going with this new business idea, but you haven't quite taken that next step. And so you're dissatisfied with exactly where you are in your life. Maybe it's relationships or family or spiritual. You can choose 3 different areas. You can choose 3 different scenarios within one area. This is totally up to you. This is your practice. This is your time to list on the left-hand side of that line you drew down the middle of your page, to list 3 things, 3 scenarios that you are dissatisfied with. So I'm going to go ahead and set a timer. I'm going to give us, let's do 3 minutes. So you have about a minute to write out each of the things you're dissatisfied with. Be as specific as possible, give as much detail as possible, and you're going to go through each of those 3 areas. So I'm going to go ahead and start that timer for 3 minutes, and you go ahead. When you're done, look up, give me a thumbs up. Two minutes. So move to your second box of where you are positively dissatisfied. You were dissatisfied with the outcome. Think about the hardest you've ever worked on something in your life. Did you achieve that goal? Were you satisfied with the outcome? Okay, 1 minute left. Move on to your last section. How do you feel about where you are in relation to your goal? Can you dig a little deeper as far as what that feels like to want to reach that goal, or to be dissatisfied as to where you are in relation to that goal? Thirty seconds. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So Everybody have something that they, or at least 3 things, at least one that really feels like, ooh, this is something I could really dig into? Okay. So now we're going to keep that information, keep it to the side, because we're going to come back to that. Because remember, we only wrote on the left-hand side of the page. So we're going to go back to that to fill in the right and do some other work with it. But let's think about our mindset. What is your mindset? Psychologist Carol Dweck, I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with good old Carol. She did quite a bit of research on the mindset of success. Really, the number one strategy of successful people is the mindset, is the mind. You want to know what that mindset is, though? Is it you're sitting there on the 4th of July feeling sad about all the activities being canceled? Or is it top of the mountain? Yes, I accomplished my goals. Well, as you can imagine, there's a difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset, a successful mindset, and those of mindsets of people who haven't reached their goals. A growth mindset is the belief that our basic abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work, just like we talked about. Our brains and our talent are that starting point. This view creates resilience that is essential, really, for great accomplishments. Someone with a fixed mindset believes their intelligence and their skills are static and cannot be improved upon. If someone is good at something, it's because they were born that way. Like I said, Michael Phelps and his wingspan, Tiger Woods and his swing. What do we think of that, though? Do we think they had to improve upon that? Do we think they had to work on it? They had to break it down to the daily activities that they needed to do to get that gold medal, to win the Masters. So our never fail strategy number 2, our first one, our never fail strategy number 1 was positive dissatisfaction. Never fail strategy number 2 is reframe how you think about your situation. Never fail strategy number 2 is really a growth mindset. So now we're going to go back to that list of 3 things, 3 scenarios that you are positively dissatisfied with or dissatisfied with. And we're going to look at it. We're going to say, when we're results oriented and goal driven, sometimes we lose sight that even when we don't reach our goals, we still win. So how can we approach and think about difficult tasks or something that we didn't think we won, that's something we didn't think we reached our goal at? Is our attitude to do whatever it takes to get the job done? Are we relentless? Do we have a bit more fire to get up and go and do something? Did we put in those extra hours or extra minutes? So now look back at those statements that you wrote down where you were not satisfied. Okay, you got those 3 in front of you. How is this scenario, think in your head, how is this scenario a gift? How is the outcome of this a gift? What did I learn? What did I learn about me? What did I learn about the situation? What can I control? What can I control in this scenario? What am I fired up to achieve? And if I'm fired up to achieve, what's another way to reach my goal? So go ahead and pull out that paper. And on the right-hand side, you're going to write at the top, there's lots of re's: reframe, rewrite, rethink, refocus. We're basically going to look at that and we're going to rewrite that scenario. How would we want to reframe that? If we said, oh, I didn't, make it to the top of that mountain, reframe it and say, I know how far I can push myself, and next time I will make it to the top. Next time I will reach the summit and come back down with enough air in my lungs that I'm not ready to collapse when I get to the bottom. I didn't launch that business, or I launched that business and it failed after 3 months. So what did that teach me? That taught me what not to do as a business owner. That taught me XYZ about my ability to launch a business. I know this, that, and the other thing. Reframe it, rethink about it. What did it teach me? How was it a gift? Okay, I'm going to set the timer let's set the timer for 2 minutes. You do not have to write something for every scenario. If you want to, you absolutely can, but I'm going to set the timer for 2 minutes and rewrite or reframe or refocus at least one of these scenarios, maybe the most important scenario. focus on what you want to achieve. Okay. Thirty seconds. Okay. Okay. Now we should have on our piece of paper a couple of different areas where we're dissatisfied in our life. And I'm assuming that if you signed up for a program called the 7 Never Fail Strategies to your New Year's goal setting, you have some goals for this year. So you're dissatisfied with something, you're trying to set goals, you want to set goals to get to the point where you want to be. So the first 2 strategies for making sure we set some goals and they stick are figure out where we're dissatisfied and figure out how to reframe that, come up with positive ways to reframe that as to how that's an opportunity. So we should have both of those things down on our piece of paper now. Thumbs up, yes, we've got them, got it, post it in the chat, got it, yes, got it. Okay, anybody posting in the chat? Anybody got a thumbs up for me? Okay, good, I got a couple thumbs up, good. Okay, and post it in the chat. Great, thank you, thank you. Just making sure everybody's tracking with me. Now, how many of you have been here before? You've been here on January 11th, January 12th, January 28th, January 3rd sometimes, and you've had a goal, you've had an idea, you're dissatisfied, you know, and you're coming into the new year hot, like, oh, I really want to do this, and it just fizzles out. It fizzles out because it's a New Year's resolution that doesn't have any legs behind it. But we want to do better. And when we know better, we can do better. So we've got 2 of those 7 tools: positive dissatisfaction. We believe we can do better. We strive to get better and stronger. And number 2, growth mindset. Our abilities can be developed through dedication, hard work, reframe and refocus how we view our situations. So what are the rest of the strategies? We're going to dig into the rest of these 7 never fail strategies and walk through each of the strategies, but you're going to use one of the scenarios that you outlined as a template for building out your plan. You're going to walk away with an action plan to make this year the year you have success with your New Year's goal setting. So what are the strategies? Number 1, we've already discovered, determine where you are dissatisfied. Number 2, reframe how you think about your situation. Number 3, decide to change what you are doing. So set that goal, decide to change. Number 4, find the lowest common trackable activity. That always makes me think of lowest common denominator. And any of you have like PTSD from high school math, like I apologize, but it's the lowest common denominator. It's the lowest common activity that you can track. Not can I get to the top of the mountain, let me see if I can climb all 48 of the 4,000 foot peaks in New Hampshire. It's, can I get out there and move every day? Can I do that hill in my neighborhood and then the next hill and the next hill? and make my way, track my activity to make my way to reach the number 4 is common track. And we'll talk about that. I might have cut in and out a little bit. I have a little bit of an unstable internet connection. Am I good again? Okay. Number 5, create a tracking tool. It's very difficult to do without a way to track it. That's why I love the watch. I've got tons of other high-tech, low-tech tracking tools. We'll talk about that. 6, define your reward. This is a non-negotiable. If we have a goal, we need to have a reward. We'll talk about that too. And number 7, rinse and repeat. Repeat this process for your success. Okay, let's get started. Number 3, never fail strategy. Decide to change what you are doing. Set a goal. Okay, SMART goals. Yep, Bethany, yada, yada, yada. I've been there. I know what a SMART goal is. Raise your hand if you've set SMART goals, heard about SMART goals, think SMART goals are a bunch of, no, you don't. I know you don't. I know you love SMART goals because I know you know that when we set a goal that's specific, that's measurable, that's achievable, that's relevant and time bound, we have no way we can fail. Except if it's only on paper. So this is where I think SMART goals doesn't take it to the next level. That a lot of times we create a goal that's set on these 5 criteria, and they're based on results, they're strategic, they're focused, they're actionable. But then we don't do anything about it. We put it on our desk, we put it in a drawer, we forget about it. Maybe we even hang it on a wall, but we don't do anything about it. So we're going to look right now, and we're going to look at what our goal is. We're going to be very specific. So there's no room for misinterpretation as to whether we hit it or whether we didn't. We're going to make sure that we quantify it. So it's something that we can measure and that our progress is easily tracked. We're going to make sure it's attainable. It's realistic. It's not, I'm going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro and I couldn't even make it up Monadnock. I'm going to be the CEO of Google. I'm going to be the CEO of my life. I'm going to be the CEO of my own business. It's realistic. It's achievable. It's relevant. So the goal has to contribute to reaching our broader goals. So it's relevant. If I want to open up a business, if I want to open up a retail location, then it doesn't make sense to go on a yoga retreat. That doesn't help, reach our goal of a retail business, potentially, unless it's a yoga retail business. But that's neither here nor there. We'll talk about that. So, and the goal has to be defined with a start and an end date. So I'm going to throw out some examples, and then we'll do another activity. So I'm going to walk 30 days, 5 days a week. That's attainable. That's achievable. That's trackable, measurable. I'm going to improve my public speaking skills by presenting 2 times a month to a group of 5 or more people. Trackable, smart goal. Increase my referrals by attending 4 more networking meetings per month, 4 or more networking meetings per month, and meeting 10 or more new contacts a month. Now, I love this little hack that you put in or more. So even though we want to make it attainable and realistic and trackable, we don't want to limit ourselves and say, well, I'm going to do 4 networking meetings, and when I've done 4, I'm done. Well, 4 or more gives us the opportunity to blow our goals out of the water. I'm going to do 6 this month, but if I do 4, I still hit my goal. I'm going to give back by volunteering at a church soup kitchen on the last Saturday of the month, specific, timed for the next 6 months, timed, specific, working towards achieving my goal of giving back. Okay, any questions on, post them in the chat, raise your hand. And the other side, if you have room. So flip the page over, flip to the other side. If you have room, you're going to pick one of the areas that you're dissatisfied with, and you are going to start to look at what your SMART goal is. Now you can write on there, and I'll put the acronym in the chat so you can see it. You can write down specific, measurable, achievable or attainable, relevant, and time bound. But as you write it out, the most important thing is to keep that in your mind. Is this specific enough? Is this measurable? Can I measure this? Can I track this? Is it really achievable? And don't set the bar too low, but don't make it so high that you're going to feel like a failure if you don't achieve it in the time you've given yourself, 6 months, a month, 3 months, whatever it might be. And is it relevant? Does it help you get to your outcome that you're looking for? Okay, I am going to give us 2 minutes. I'm going to try to fix my slides while we do it. And I will post in the chat the three, the areas of a SMART goal. So you have those and you can read those. The next slide, Elena. You can flip to the next. Okay, so now that we have our SMART goal, let's track our way towards success. So what does that mean? That's never fail strategy number 4. So we've defined what our specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-oriented goal is. And if it is measurable, then we have a mechanism that we can track. And so what I would love to see in the chat is, what is your mechanism that you believe you are going to track as part of your SMART goal? So you can go ahead and post that in the chat. Where is my chat now? Oh, here we go. Anybody have one that they want to post in the chat? Anybody have one if you'd prefer to shout it out, you're welcome to shout it out too. No? Okay, so I will give you some examples of ones that I tracked, of areas where I track my way to success, I would say. And the first one is definitely the hiking a mountain, right? So I'm looking at my tracker there. I had different the health app had different ways of categorizing. Okay, you did this activity, you did this activity, and every month I looked at it, I said, okay, this is the goal I want to hit. This is the bar I want to set. And so I kept building and building and building upon it. I was dissatisfied with my fitness level. I knew I could reframe it and take action. I defined my SMART goal to walk 30 minutes or more a day, including hills. So what next? I tracked it on my watch. The next thing I was dissatisfied with, the middle block, is I was dissatisfied with my current income. And I knew I had control over that by making more sales. And if you're ready to start a business, sales is going to be part of your future. That's the way that businesses hum along and keep going. So that's a whole different conversation for a different time. But I knew I had to make more sales. In order to make more sales, I had to break it down to the lowest common denominator. And the lowest common denominator was going on more appointments. So I tracked it. I defined my SMART goal as going on. It was 18 appointments by Thanksgiving week. I tracked it and I made sure that I knew where I stood on that goal every single day. The third way, all the way to the right, I was dissatisfied with the number of business owners I helped launch during the pandemic. This is actually a picture of the business owners that I helped them launch their business during the pandemic. And I reframed how I thought about this. I determined my goal. The biggest thing was reframing how I thought about this, because I really thought it was going to happen quicker than it did. I was going to launch more than I did. So I really had to work on that growth mindset, being positively dissatisfied. And then I determined my goal and what would I track and what I could track. And guess what? When I tracked it, I launched more businesses with them. So next slide. Okay, so now we are going to spend just 1 minute. You're going to revisit your SMART goal and you're going to determine the lowest common activity that you can track. So what is that? And you can write it on your sheet or you can post it in the chat. I'd love to get a little feedback from everybody, what you're thinking as far as your goals and what you're going to track. So, oh, awesome. So I see Marie posted in there. She is marketing. Her SMART goal is to boost 1 or more Facebook posts per month. So Facebook gives analytics when I post. Awesome. So those analytics will help her know that she's reaching her result. By doing 1 or more Facebook posts a month that's boosted, she'll know when she's winning, 1 or more. I would encourage you, Marie, to think a little bit bigger. Could you do 1 or more a week Facebook post? Facebook posts are something that people do. Facebook is something very daily. We do daily, we do weekly. 1 a month, you might not see the traction quick enough. Can you do 1 a week? Push you a little bit. More posts from my site, manage sales, add more items to my site. So the word more, Lisa, I encourage you to replace that word with a trackable number. What's more? I don't know where we're starting. I don't know where we're ending. What's the number? How many items do you want to add to your site and in what time frame? Trackable, timed. creative writing, 30 minutes of writing per day, 3 days a week. Awesome, Brandon. Do you have an app to track it? Do you have a journal to track it? Do you have a notebook to track it? Thanks for pushing me. No problem, Ray. Awesome. So that's the kind of thing we're doing with our SMART goals. What kind of, I think you're on Google right now, Elena. Yeah. What kind of goal do you have? What goal do you have? How can you measure it? How can you track it? And then remember this. I love this quote. Oh, I'm sorry. Elena, can you flip to the next slide? Be committed to the process without being emotionally attached to results. So if your goal, Brandon, is creative writing, 30 minutes of writing per day, 3 times a week for 6 weeks, and your end goal is to write a book, be committed to the process, be committed to doing the action, to tracking the action, regardless of the result. At the end of the 6 weeks, at the end of the month, you might be like, oh my God, this is crap. But at the end of the month, I guarantee you're going to feel great about having done what you said you set out to do, which is 30 minutes of writing 3 times a week. Ultimately, the book will come. By the way, Brandon, what is the goal for 30 minutes of writing 3 days per day, 3 times a week? What's your end goal?
Yeah, the end goal is book or short stories, something.
Yeah. So if you're committed, this is an awesome, I love this quote. This is my favorite quote. It helps me in sales all the time, but it's so applicable here in the creative process. Be committed to the process, 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week, without being emotionally attached to the results. That's a great, kind of thing to keep in mind too, with health and fitness, with your marketing goals, with your inventory, your sales goals. Okay. Next slide, Elena. So how do we track? How do we track to your success? So let's talk, about some strategies that you can use. And these are just really strategies. I share what's working. It'll be harder while I'm talking, something that you're like, oh, I really love that one, or it sparks an idea for you. And we'll kind of go really popcorn style through this to get you all these ideas. So next slide, Elena. Track my goals. Okay, so this is a fun way to track. I had a vase filled with individual Reese's, and as I completed an appointment, I took one out and I put I put the little wrapper on this little little thing I made. Actually, I have it here. It's still with me because it was such a huge accomplishment for me personally when I hit that goal, that it was just a fun way to track. Ultimately, though, I will tell you, this tracking mechanism didn't help with that other thing of climbing the mountain. So I had to change it up a little bit. Let's go to the next slide, Elena. So the next way I did it, I said, okay, I can't eat all these Reese's peanut butter cups. I created a visual to remind myself. I put a piece of paper on the wall that had the number of appointments left I had to get to reach my goal. As I did an X over a block that I simply did the appointment. I did the activity. I was committed to the process, and a dollar sign when I made a sale. And then by the end of the time period, I made it to the end of that tracker. And it's so crazy. It's like stickers on the teacher's board in elementary school, but it felt so good to just visually see that I had done the work and I had increased my income along the way. Next slide, please, Elena. Here's old school, new school, high tech, low tech. So this is an old school road to print. This is how I used to track how we got people to print as far as launching their publications in the company where I work these days, which is N2 Publishing. And we would just track the activity and the sales on a piece of paper, on a board, wherever we wanted to. Now we have a little high tech. I don't know, it's so high tech, but it's a spreadsheet where every time we put activity in, it would track how far we are to covering our production costs, covering the cost to open your business, covering the cost to turn on the lights in your business, whatever it is. It's kind of a high tech versus low tech. So think about that. What's high tech versus low tech? Next slide, Elena. Another way is to involve your family. So this is one of my favorites, 100 appointments. This was way before the 1,000 appointment goal. I had 100 appointments I wanted to complete. My kids were little at the time. Every day I'd come home, they'd be like, Mommy, how many appointments did you go on? Because they knew, anybody guess? They knew when I completed 100 appointments, we were going to see the mouse. We were going to Disney. And so I tracked it with just a simple pyramid of Post-it notes on the wall in the office. And they were engaged because they started taking the Post-it notes off the wall with me. Next slide, please. The last way, and this is kind of something that I've started to implement or I've been using for the last couple of years, is tracking with my coach, working with a coach, tracking for the year, holding myself accountable, really having templates and documents that I can fill out every month, every quarter, and then going back and forth with my coach to fine tune and really look at, okay, where am I on my goals, and am I moving in the right direction? Am I focused on the things that are most important to me? This is something that I do with my coach. So hopefully that download, next slide. Hopefully that download sparked some ideas in your mind. Let's take 30 seconds just to write down, okay, what is my tracker? Actually, you know what? I would love if you posted it in the chat again. Write it down on your sheet, but go ahead and post it in the chat. Let's take a couple of minutes to talk about which trackers we think would work for us. If somebody wants to shout it out, you're welcome to shout it out too. But let's determine our tracking tool, because that really, even though it's say the fifth of the strategies of 7 strategies, it has to come in this order when you're thinking about your goals, but it is the most important of the 7 is tracking. Thanks for pushing. Calendar on the wall. Awesome. Calendar with Post-it notes. Calendar, use my monthly page in my planner. Awesome. So I had someone who wanted to make sure, so I'm sure many of you have clients, and she wanted to make sure that she focused on her renewals. So she created a calendar basically of all of her clients and when they were up for renewal. And 2 months out, she put a box on the calendar and said, this is when I need to call them to ensure they renew. And she ordered from Amazon a pack of emoji stickers. And so every time she talks to one of these clients, she looks at her emoji stickers. She says, okay, that call went really well. I'll put smiley face with the stars. Or that call didn't go so well. I'm going to put this face. I don't know if this big client is renewing, right? So she really wanted something visual in order to track it. Recently started a journey with goals and notes. What does that mean? I started a journey with goals and notes. A journal? Sorry. That's okay. I'd love to hear more, Lisa. I have a whiteboard with my goals. How are you tracking your goals, Doxa? Is that how you say it? How are you tracking on that whiteboard? Yes, it's a journal with goals and notes. So this morning, and I don't do this, I do the Miracle Morning every morning, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with. Love it. Hal Elrod, Miracle Morning, game changer. And you journal every morning. Lisa, that's part of the process. And this morning in my journal, I was like, you know what? I had so many things swirling in my mind. I had an orientation, I had this, I have lots of client calls. I was like, what are my top 3 goals for today? Boom, boom, boom. That's all I put in my journal. I didn't even, and I'm a talker. I wasn't even verbose. It was boom, boom, boom. 3 things tomorrow morning when I open it up. Check, check, check. Hopefully. If I don't check all 3, I can renegotiate. That's a little hack to the side. Okay. 3 things in yoga. Yes. 3 things in yoga. I have a workbook called Mind Your Business that helps organize and measure goals. I love it. So when we know what we want, when we can track what we want, we know when we win. Okay. So when we win, when we reach those goals, and I think it was Brandon that was going to write for 30 days, 30 minutes a day for three times a week. For how long? Okay. So we're going to define, Brandon, tell us how long you're going to do that for. Is it going to be a month? Is it going to be 5 months? Is it going to be 6 months? How long? And then when it's done, all of you think of how long am I doing this for? When am I, what is my kind of line in the sand when I know I've done what I said I was going to do? And I will say with Miracle Morning, I started with 30 days. I did a 30-day challenge. Now I keep going, I keep re-upping, but I started with 30 days. And then once you know how long you're going to do it, you have to reward yourself. Next slide, please, Elena. Never fail strategy number 6, reward yourself. So after I had completed those appointments, filled out that tracker on the wall, I rewarded myself with the pocketbook in the left-hand side, like a work bag. And funny enough, my mom had bought the bag for me because she saw it, she loved it, she thought it would look great, blah, blah, blah. So she bought the bag. She kept trying to bring it over to me. She kept trying to bring it to me and give it to me. I was like, no, I can't. I have to complete these appointments. And it was the day before Thanksgiving, and I had one more appointment that I needed to complete. And I knew she was bringing it on Thanksgiving. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go out and do that appointment. I completed the appointment at like 6:15 that night. And guess what? I made one more sale. And if you remember, the whole reason I was doing appointments was to increase my income. And because I committed to a trackable, a specific, measurable, actionable, a realistic time-based goal, I did it. I made that one more sale. And so I got the pocketbook, but then the other reward that my company sent me on a Founders Club trip. This is me and my family. Involve the family, get them on board. We went to Costa Rica, which was my family reward. And then at the top picture, I worked at every day, moving more, positively dissatisfied with my hike on Mount Monadnock. And this is me at the summit of Haystack Mountain, Vermont, this past summer. Some days though, I walk 30 minutes a day and my reward is just a can of seltzer. I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna reward myself with a seltzer. Or maybe your reward is that Reese's or whatever it is. The rewards don't have to be huge, but there has to be a reward, because that's how we stay focused. That's how we stay committed. And that's how we let our brains know that we've done good, that we've done something that we should celebrate, and we should celebrate it. Okay, so now we're up to 6. We're up to 6 rewards. So what is that? Or six strategies. Where's the 7th strategy? Flip to the, oh, great. How will you reward yourself? Jot that down. What's the 7th strategy? Well, 7th strategy is repeat the plan, rinse and repeat to track your way to success. Determine where you're dissatisfied. Number 1, reframe how you think about the situation. Decide to change what you're doing and set a SMART goal. Find lowest common denominator of tracking activity, then create your tracking tool. Find a way to track it. Know what you're tracking, track it. Define your reward, celebrate your success, and then repeat the process. There we go, everybody. This is your 7 ways, your 7 no-fail ways for New Year's goal setting. I hope you all found a couple of tips in here. I hope you have some big ideas for what you're going to do. I always like to say, what's your biggest takeaway? What are you walking away with? What are you committed to doing by next Monday? Go ahead and post that in the chat before you sign off. What are you committed to doing? What's your biggest takeaway? What are you committed to doing before next Monday? And go for it, everybody. Go after your goals.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Elena, if you stop recording, people can even share. I have a minute or two. We can stick around if people want.